And we're
Hello.
live. Hello, everybody. Give people a couple seconds to get in here and see what we got caught on the tablecloth here. Technical difficulties. All right, there we go. Get the comments going. We'll let everybody get in here. February $50 February winding down.
2 days left.
2 days. we're Wow, it's been good. It's been good. So I don't want to tip things off. Looks like we got a couple people in here. As you're in there, throw a comment, say hi. Let's see who's all with us here. We have survived the both February Snowmageddon and the month. So
Yeah.
a couple of things. Hey, Gwen, how are you doing? Get Gwen on there. Phil's in here. Hi, Phil. Good to see
Hello.
you. Hey. So give me Mr. C. Erickson. Give me a name. I've seen it. You've commented, and I appreciate you got some good humor in your comments that on our videos. So appreciate you commenting. But throw your first name out there so I know what to call you. Holly is creating, and there's Katie.
Hello.
Holly's creating a ball of yarn today. She
I pulled out one of my projects. I wasn't happy with how it was turning out. So
not good. Heather's going to be joining us. Okay, 5 minutes or so.
Perfect.
Kathy M, Red Lantern, how are you doing? Welcome. I think this might be your first time in here. Okay, and it's Curtis. Okay, thank you, Curtis, for. I just like to call people by the right name. That's always fun. But yeah, we survived. Snowmageddon. The what was it?
Winter storm.
I keep wanting to call it tropical storm, but Winter Storm Olive came and went and dumped on us up here in Minnesota. So
over what 3 days we got 18, almost 20 inches.
I don't know.
Something
if
like
it was,
that.
It was 16 or so, I think, around
Well,
us.
I think we got 6 on Tuesday and then another foot.
Okay, maybe it was
Thursday.
Over that.
Yeah.
Matt and Robin, how are you doing? Welcome to the show. Chris and Larry, welcome. Good to see you. I think from Arizona, if I remember that right. Yeah, we got a lot of snow and then the drifting.
Yeah.
I did a lot of snow throwing, but thank God I've got a snowblower. It was whoa, you got less than 2 inches.
Yeah, up north they didn't get as much.
Well,
it
good luck for you.
South.
I cannot imagine what spring is going to look like. Just I don't know when we're going to see the ground. Usually by the end of.
Well, and hopefully it doesn't all warm up at once and everything melt at once, because
it'll be a sloppy mess.
Oh, we'd have a lake in our front yard.
Yeah, and our rivers around here. We've got a river that's about 3 miles away, 4 miles away from us, and it's been very low for a couple of years. That will not be the case this spring, I'm sure. Curtis, supposed to be screaming windy here tomorrow. Where are you, Curtis? Let us know where you're at. I always try to get a feel for where people live, just with the weather and all that. So, screaming windy. We had wind. It was blowing. And if you saw our video, there's spots where it's 4 feet of snow, and it's hard to get on camera, but you walk up to it, this wall, and all the way out to the garden, it's 3 to 4 feet of snow.
Yeah. Yep. He had a nice path plowed out to get to our compost pile, so we kept adding to it all winter. Yeah, that's gone.
And I can't.
It's under 4 feet of.
I can't. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and for Minnesotans, we're coming up on our snowiest month of the year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Getting ready to plant and pick up some more chicks. Chicken math has already started. More chicks. Yeah, okay, Northern Arizona. Thanks, Chris and Larry. I thought that's where it was.
Yeah.
There we go, from near Lexington. Well, we've got Heather and Levi who are going to join us in a second. They're down in Kentucky as well. So got some neighbors. I think think you got everybody, Gwen.
Yeah.
The other thing, we've had a chicken that Holly.
She was in a super hard molt, like literally lost 3/4 of her feathers.
And then the others decided to pick on her. I'm not sure
Well,
if she got weak.
What I think happened is she's a feisty one. She wasn't one that was hiding in the corner and didn't want any of the girls to touch her. Every night we'd go out, we'd throw corn around, throw treats around, and she was right in the mix, whether she had her feathers or not. She didn't care. And I think she has aspirations of being top girl.
Wow.
And she tried to take on somebody, and that weakened her to the point that
she was getting, when I saw her, there were two that were really going to town on her, and she was bleeding, and
they were pulling her pin feathers out, the new feathers that were growing in.
Yeah.
So she was a sad little girl when I finally got home to see her. She didn't want to pay.
Annette.
Didn't want anything to do with anything.
She's been in our basement for 2 weeks probably, and Holly's been going down there and visiting her, bringing her treats and extra protein and keeping her warm and just making sure she's good. And today we brought her back out. So
feathers are finally starting to really grow back, and they're starting to get
she
there.
wasn't getting picked on.
And she's got enough strength where she can take care of herself now.
Hi Dawn, welcome. Thanks for it was a whole group, and when I looked, I agree. If there's an aggressive one, I have no problem disciplining, moving, separating, that kind of thing. I just felt like the whole group was around her. I thought she was getting picked on. Yeah. Because she might have been the weak link. Something might have been really wrong with her. So I'm going to watch them over the next few days and just see what's going on. Yeah, I have no problem. And that's why we've got a few breeds we're getting rid of. It
was warmer today. We're like low 30s. Sun was out, so it was decent outside, and brought her out this afternoon. I sat out there for like half an hour.
For those of you not in our area, we were excited that it was like 33 or something. So I don't know.
But sat out there, made sure she was going to be okay. I did have to move off a couple of our old original.
Well, when you bring her back in, then all of a sudden we're getting the pecking order needs to change, and she wants to be a part of the pecking order. So she was right back into the mix. But we brought out some little treats tonight, and everything seemed to be pretty good. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we should work for aggressive rooster. You know what? Thank God all our chicks have become have not been. Yeah. They chased my skinny mini. Yeah. We haven't had Curtis throw something up. Yes. There you go. Curtis knows it. Hey, Lori, how are you doing? Welcome. You probably got a good 16, 18 inches out of this storm too. So I think Lori and her husband Steve are about an hour from us, if that. An hour because of the way the roads are. So, well, tonight we got a good panel. Just waiting for a couple more people. I see Heather and Levi in the waiting room. I'll get to you in just a second. We've got hopefully 4 guests going to come on board and join us and talk about $50 February. We are. I don't know if you guys. We're down to our final. Where are we? Our final cream possum. We're down to the final stuff here. So with cream possum, where is it? Yeah. With sweet potatoes garnished in coon fat gravy. Yeah. No, we got this as a gag gift for
a friend of ours.
For a couple friends of ours for Christmas. So gotta love that cream possum. Ugh, yep. I can't imagine.
Lori's got 4 feet of snow across the garden. Jeez.
There you go. Spring is going to be interesting. Yep. Okay. Gwen was hoping everybody will click the link if you're on the panel. But Katie at Mayfield Ranch going to join us. We got Heather and Levi standing by for a second. Annette and Glenn from at the Cow Emporium I should have said Heather and Levi, Sage and Stone Homestead are joining us, and then Jennifer from Homestead on a Prayer. So they've all been participating. So if you're on here, I thought I saw Katie possibly. Did I? I got too many things going through my head. So if you're there, click the link so you can get into the waiting room. We can bring you on up. But it should be good. There's just been so much else going on. We went to our local garden club that I just learned about, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that, in the next town over. They had a seed exchange. So we went and met a whole bunch of gardeners.
Yeah.
And you walk in and they're like, hey, you're that guy. You're that guy. It's like, oh, yeah, you're with the you've got the chicken videos. Yep, that's us. So it's kind of funny to do that. But yeah, we picked up some good seeds. We've got a whole box of seeds now, and it gives us hope that we're getting towards seeing some ground. And another 2 weeks, I think, and we'll be planting. So maybe our next live, it'll be talking about planting. So yeah, you'll see tables of pots behind us. Well, yeah, we got to get the tables out and let the sun do a little work on them. Then they go down in the basement under all the lights. And we're trying to figure out how much do we need to plant this year to make it right. So, all right, seeing Katie in there, Heather and Levi, Jennifer's there. You know what? I'll bring you guys up and then we'll see. Everybody give me the thumbs up if you're ready to come on up. All right, let's see. See if I can add. I'm getting good at this. Do I have the volume on? Make sure I turn my volume up. Heather, Levi, can you hear us?
Yep.
All right. Let me. There we go. Take that off. And Katie, you can hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. And Jennifer?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. Well, we'll give Annette and Glenn a second to jump in. It's calving season, so I know there's a lot going on with all of you. So anyways, I want to bring this group up. There's been a lot of people involved in the challenge, but there's only a few people that actually want to get their face on camera on a live. So that's the challenge, is doing that. Why don't we go around and everybody give a little rundown on your channel, kind of where you are, who you are, where you are, and what you do. When we do Heather and Levi, then we'll just go in a circle. If you see let me get Annette and Glenn here first. But
hi, can you hear me?
There we go. Annette, you hear us all right?
Hey guys, yep, I can hear you.
Okay, we're good.
Perfect.
So let's do just a little, where you are, who you are, and what your channel's all about. Just to start out, do Heather, then over to Jennifer, Katie, and then Annette and Glenn.
Hey, can you guys hear us okay?
Yep.
Oh, hi, I'm Heather.
I'm Levi.
And we are Sage and Stone Homestead. We are homesteading on 9.21 acres in southwestern Kentucky. We have dairy goats in a big garden, some rabbits, honeybees, and a few other odds and ends that make up what we do here. We try to grow a lot of our own food, but we don't grow everything.
Well, welcome.
Thanks.
Jump on, Jennifer.
So I'm Jennifer. I just started my channel last April, so I'm still pretty new to all this. So I'm coming up on a year. So I've got a kind of like a homestead in progress, I guess. My main thing is gardening, and I also have some chickens, and we're hoping to expand. I do have some fruit trees and grapes and some new stuff ordered, so I'm excited to try those, but we're just kind of still getting our feet wet with this whole thing. So definitely, we're on a pretty small property. We've got about 2 acres, and yeah.
That's all right. 2 acres is good. It's a lot more than I ever had.
Yeah.
Until now. Katie, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie from Mayfield Ranch. So like Jennifer, I just started my channel about a year ago or so, actually coming up on a year. We have a little over 5 acres in Northern California. So maybe not the traditional location for homesteading, but we're giving it a try. We're trying it here. We have animals and a garden. So we're going to try to expand our garden this year. We've done some garden tours and things like that over the past year. And then a bunch of animals, not really a traditional homestead from an animal perspective. So we have a bunch of chickens, we have some ducks, we have geese. So we do eat the eggs, but we actually don't raise any of the animals for meat. They're all, other than the birds, they're all rescues. So we spend a lot of time hanging out with them, but we don't raise them for meat. So we try to grow as much of our food as possible, as much as we can, but we don't do it all here on the homestead.
Well, that's good. Jennifer, where are you located?
Oh, I'm in Connecticut. Yeah, I forgot to say that.
Connecticut. Okay. We've got coast to coast representation here tonight. So
Yeah.
Glenn, Annette, how's your internet connection? Things doing good? Oh,
I don't think we're gonna be able to stay in this live, guys. We got booted out. I know. It's really, really windy here right now. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but yeah.
You can comment in the comments.
Yeah, if we have, like, we don't want to waste everybody's time like refreshing this. So if we get kicked out again, we'll just be in the comments if that's okay.
yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Yeah, tell us a little bit about your channel, where you're located, and we'll lead off with you when we get to the question period here.
We're in Alberta, Canada, about 60 miles south of Calgary. And we have a beef farm / ranch. We raise 120 head beef cattle and calves, and little bit of grain farming, but we're kind of phasing out that. But it's a family farm, and for generations we've always gardened and raised our own food and livestock. So it's just something we do, and we have a lot of fun doing, and we're passionate about, and we like to share what we're doing.
Yeah, it's been good. And Annette and Glenn are kind of the instigators behind all this. I saw what they were doing last year and threw out a comment to Annette, I think, and some emails, and then here we are. So it's been they're the reason why we've been eating the way we've been eating for the past month. So it's you know what? Before I share it, since you guys have the bad connection, well, so Huga Holmes jumped on there. Jamie, thanks for jumping in there. And Gunsmoke Farmstead, they've got issues with their internet, so they're dropping off. I think they'll catch the replay. Annette and Glenn, since you got the bad connection, why don't you just share how you've done this month? And you guys are probably, other than Lisa in California, maybe the most hardcore on this, and have really tackled it in a great way. Why don't you tell us what's worked, what hasn't worked, and where you've come?
Okay, so we got only about half of what you just said, Rich. So I'm gonna assume that you said that you'd like to hear about what worked for us and what didn't. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. It's a little bit computery and, glitchy on our end. So I think that this is probably our best year yet doing the challenge. Of course, I mean, for everybody else, it's your first year basically, but for us, it's our third year. And we have really appreciated having the $50 to spend. The short month of February worked really good because only 28 days. The challenge there was that our vegetables were 1 month older than previous years when we've done this challenge. And so things are starting to rot like crazy that are still fresh. Yeah, we've had some really good meals, even though it's all kind of the same. Like, we try to make it a little different way every time. So some of the things that we've gotten down to almost to a science now with our own whole wheat flour is the tortillas. Glenn's amazing at that. We recently discovered that you can make your own potato starch, so that was kind of cool. Rose hips, we have rose bushes all over the place here. Alberta's flower is the wild rose, and when the flower is done, it forms these little fruits called rose hips. So we've dried those and we've turned those into powder that we use on different things. It has kind of a sweet floral taste to it. We traded garden produce for some different seeds. So we've got lentils and wheat for that. And so we made flowers out of those. And that was kind of nice. Glenn's perfected making the mayonnaise, which is kind of like a boutique mayonnaise, though, because it costs you a lot of money in oil to make, which is really something.
It looked good. I'm a mayonnaise guy, so it looked good.
Really good, but like I can see why buying it from the store is so much more cost beneficial. And Glenn said today, like last year when we did this challenge, because we have a spot on our property where somebody raises bees. And so he said everything tasted like honey last year and it was all kind of just one note, but he hasn't noticed that this year. So maybe we're just used to it or we're using it differently. I'm not sure. All of our money was spent on dairy and we still have $8 left, which isn't a lot. So we've used a lot of dairy because we made soft cheeses and custards, and Glenn made an ice cream for Valentine's Day, which was really nice. We've been buying the higher fat milk and adding just a little bit of water to it to make it extend further. And I'd say like the other benefit to this month is the weight loss for us. We both lost 8 pounds, which is pretty crazy.
All right.
Yeah. So the things that we would do next year is that we want to add some more flavor profile things like ginger. I've grown ginger before, but never really had enough of it to preserve. And mustard. So we can save the seeds from that for another like flavor profile to make sauces and stuff out of.
Yeah.
And sweet potatoes. We're going to grow sweet potatoes this coming year for sure.
Okay.
I've got a French cookbook that we've dived into, and it's great because it's got a million different ways to cook with eggs that make it different every time. And it's not expensive. It's not hard, but the techniques are a little bit, you just got to learn the new techniques. But
French cooking has very basic ingredients, but specialized way to make
prepare
stuff.
it.
Yeah, to prepare it. Yeah.
Well, share that. Share the name of the cookbook if you could at some point. That'd be really good to have. If people are not following Annette and Glenn on Instagram, Annette has done a great job of documenting the month with pictures of her meals, and so seeing all the variety has been good. Because I look at your pictures, Annette, and I don't see that. You said one flavor profile. It's hard to believe that seeing your pictures.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
And like we thank everybody for wanting to give this a go because we do realize that it's like
It's hard.
super hard challenge.
It's really hard.
Yeah. Super hard. So
Well,
Glenn has the book here. He'll just hold it up to the camera for now.
Where's the camera?
It's right on the top.
La Cuisine, or maybe
Okay.
type it in the comments or
Yeah.
something, then we can pin that at the top. That's any
We
way
had-
to
yeah.
take eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Type.
So thanks again also for like
Including us.
and like getting me to do this. I know that I wasn't probably the best person to like introduce this challenge so everybody understood it, but like it seems like everybody's kind of done as well as they can, which is awesome.
I think as much as we tried to. I'm the one that'll wave my arms around and yell about things quite a bit and get people on board. It is hard to have the rules because there really are so many different flavors. Like every person that takes the challenge, there's that many different flavors as far as how you go up your approach to the challenge. Did you guys have any 3 years in now, so you're kind of a well-oiled machine, but is there some places where you fell down or something that really didn't work?
Where we had trouble,
Sourdough, our bread.
Oh, yeah, the
We haven't
bread.
got bread down very good. It was, yeah, I really miss bread, and
Yeah.
we just with the whole wheat flour. We make really good bread if we mix it with the white flour, but with the whole wheat, it was hard to eat. But the tortillas and the pancakes were awesome.
Bread muffins
And
and
muffins.
Okay. So the bread, yeah, and don't feel like it's bad. We had a meal last night with a bunch of friends, and one of their sons is a chef, and he's trained literally in some of the top schools, and has been over to France and spent half of a year over there studying cuisine. They were making bread last night at this meal from scratch,
Yeah.
and he was still falling down. I mean, things just were not right, and I think
Yeah.
bread is a science unto itself.
Yeah, for sure.
So he was all, oh, this didn't work, or it stuck to this, and I don't know. So bread's a tough one. Well, let's go around. I mean, Net and Glenn, stay as much as you can and jump in as you can. If you drop, then throw things in the comments. I saw Gary from GBL, the old church, 5 Acre Homestead. They jumped in. Gary and Miss Betty jumped in here. So we got some new ones. Thanks for joining us. Heather and Levi, oh, maybe we lost them again.
Yeah.
I think we did.
Why don't we go and just to start kind of what really worked for everybody, and then we can go and hit the obstacles at the end. But Heather and Levi, why don't you start, then Jennifer, and then Katie.
What worked for me was being able to adapt the challenge. I missed the whole point of the challenge until about the last week before $50 February started, when I realized that technically we weren't supposed to use our pantries from the grocery store at all. I didn't know that. So being able to use our regular pantry was vital, and we wouldn't have been able to do it happily without it. Like, our kids are already kind of going crazy.
Isn't most of your pantry though? I mean, it's things you've canned. It's a lot of product that you put together. So
yeah, I mean, we eat lunch meat pretty much every day that we buy. We buy chips, we buy rice, we buy flour. There's a lot of stuff that we buy and that we use regularly to supplement what we don't grow. And so I don't like to grow a whole ton of herbs because I can get them really inexpensively locally. And so I don't waste the garden space. And so it was kind of funny to us that we could have unlimited coffee, but not the herbs, when I would have rather it been switched, honestly.
Well, and herbs are a whole thing unto themselves, and we'll talk about that, or I'll let Holly talk about that when we get around. I don't want to take your time, but you guys seem to do really well. Like I said, there's different flavors for it, and maybe it's how I explained or didn't explain the challenge. It's hard to explain because I mean we got a ton of questions, but there are different flavors. And you talked about the financial side of it. Many of those chips and lunch meat and all that, you're buying with money that you raised that money on the farm through your goats.
Yes, it wasn't a direct barter, but I mean, we sold the goats, we sold the rabbits, we sold the honey, and then turned around and bought our pantry.
Yep.
Yeah, at our discount grocer, which really helped. If we didn't have that discount Amish grocer near us, we wouldn't be able to fully fund groceries with the farm.
Well, and check out Heather and Levi's videos on their discount grocer. I looked around and we don't have anything like that near us. It is amazing the value you got from that grocer and how people got on board. Tell a little bit about that, how people knew the challenge and got on board with you.
Well, people they're doing the challenge more like us, I think, where they are kind of using up their pantry that's just been collecting dust for years. Like, we had meat in our freezer from 2020 that we really needed the kick in the pants to just use. And I have squash and things in the freezer that if I wasn't pushed to use it, I may not. And it's I like to grow the food and put it away. For some reason, it's hard for me to figure out ways to really cook a variety with those ingredients. So this was a really good challenge for me to break outside of the box and learn new ways to cook things. And I think that's happening with our subscribers too.
And maybe everybody can put on, is there something you had to eat in the month because you had to eat it? Like someone doesn't like squash here, really. So I love it. Someone doesn't. So
That's
is there
a
anything
must.
you guys ate that you normally wouldn't, but it's February, we got to get through it?
No.
No? Okay.
Leftovers, kind of. I'm not a leftovers person, but I think tonight was the first night of the whole challenge that I ate leftovers at all. I'd choose eggs otherwise. But
Well, that's good. I mean, in watching your channel too, I've tried to keep up on everybody's updates and
It's
what's
hard.
worked, what
Yeah.
hasn't. And I don't know, you guys were smiling. Everybody was smiling the whole time. No one, looked like they were death warmed over because of the challenge. So
I wanted to avoid that because I never wanted to resent what we do here because we work really hard to do the things that we do. And I didn't want our kids to ever resent what we do here because mommy only let me eat eggs for a whole month. Like, I didn't want that to happen. So we did adapt, and it was great to be able to have adapted it to work for what we had kind of prepared ourselves for.
yeah, everybody, it was not the intent to make people suffer for 28 days. So hopefully that. So, Jennifer, you're getting going, like you said, and expanding, and it sounds like you're adding fruit and stuff. What worked for you, even being new to the whole thing?
Yeah, so we actually approached it in kind of a similar way as a little bit of a pantry challenge. So I did not let myself go out and stock up for this challenge. I only used stuff that we already had anyway. But I let myself use like baking staples like flour and salt and things like that, and I didn't count that towards my $50 because I don't think we would have really been able to do it if we hadn't done that. And then there were a couple other things I kind of gave myself grace on too. Like we get our milk from like a local family-owned farm. So I figured that was local sourcing, so I didn't count that either. And I think doing that made it be enjoyable rather than, like you said, just kind of getting through it.
Yep.
But it was good for us too, making us use some of the stuff. Like I preserve a lot of zucchini in my freezer every year, and we usually go through about half of it before the next year's zucchini starts coming in. So we definitely use a lot of that kind of stuff up during this challenge. So I think that was really good. And it made me be more creative with how I cooked things too.
Yep. You gotta put a fresh spin on some old ingredients sometimes.
Yeah. And we had lots of eggs too. So cooked those in a bunch
I
of
think that was a
different
common thread, the eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yes.
If you don't have chickens, it's hard
Yeah.
for this challenge. I mean, that's just become for us like an anchor point to help us through the challenge. So, and how many, Heather? I'm sorry, Jennifer. How many chickens do you have?
Right now we have 6.
Okay,
And we're getting 6 more in the spring. So we'll have even more eggs next year.
there you go. Yep, that all works. Katie, how many chickens do you have?
We have 30.
Okay.
So we've
You're
got more than enough chickens, more eggs than we can handle.
So do you sell them too?
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
So what worked for you?
The eggs definitely worked for me. So kind of preparing for February, I tried a few different recipes on eggs. So what we had a lot of were egg bites. I have an Instant Pot, so we made egg bites, and I had dehydrated a bunch of stuff over summer last year. So we had a bunch of Malabar spinach. I dehydrated that. So I have a bunch of powders like beet powder, some different kale and spinach powders. So I was able to change up the flavor of the eggs. I had a bunch of dehydrated onions. So I changed up the flavor of the eggs, even put some artificial sweetener and stuff in some. So they were kind of dessert eggs. And that was actually really pretty good. So that allowed us to just have a bunch of stuff in the freezer to take for like breakfast or lunch, things like that. So we definitely had a lot of eggs as a part of our February challenge. That was pretty good. The other thing that I did, which was, I'll say kind of hit and miss, it was a little bit of a learning curve, and I should have practiced maybe before February, but I didn't, is I dehydrated zucchini and tried to make zucchini flour in an effort to not use as many pantry staples, let's say. So I tried to make some zucchini bread and pumpkin bread with that. It was okay. It wasn't quite what you might get if you followed like a standard recipe and used just traditional flour, but it gave us something different to have. That worked pretty well. We did have a couple of failures. One failure, I tried to make some, I used cauliflower to make like a alternate to oatmeal. And so
Mhm.
put some like apples, peaches, things like that. I liked it, and I thought it was a pretty good option because they put walnuts, things like that. Gary was not a fan, so that was a little bit tougher for him.
He was not at all.
Not of the cauliflower, not of that. He was like, no, keep that away from me.
Hmm.
But we were just trying to like use everything we had from the garden and preserve, because we had a long time to prepare for it, but we've never really done a challenge like this. So it was definitely challenging. Like you come home late from work and it's like, oh, we're hungry. What are we going to have? And we're kind of looking at each other like, not eggs again. Let's do something else.
It does involve planning.
Mhm.
That's what, and we got the calendar out, and we're going to start kind of mapping out the entire month. And
And
We
we
did-
just didn't.
we didn't. And I've always said, for this to be successful and fun, you need to have
Mhm.
variety. I've talked about that a couple times, and I don't know if we had a big variety, because I noticed the fish that we set aside
Yep.
that Holly caught is still in the freezer. The rabbits that I got are still in the freezer. And we talk about all this diversity. We really took chicken and
Yep.
as kind of a base.
Well, and then we had different cuts of our beef still from the cow that we got, and then the pork chops and things from the pig. So, I mean, we did break it up, and then like ground pork, so we could make it turn into different sausages
Yep.
with the spaghetti squash and sauces. So,
I will say my favorite meal of the whole month, there were two.
Mhm.
On Valentine's Day, we had some ribeyes and mashed potatoes. Used up the last of our potatoes.
Yep.
That was just an awesome meal. But then spaghetti sauce we had canned from a couple years ago,
Yep.
and spaghetti squash. It was
Mhm.
incredible how good that was.
Yeah.
And just some of your sourdough stuff. We're under the radar. We're at $42.54 for the whole month, but 30 of that I think we've done really good. 30 of that was for strawberries. A local,
So
someone
well,
brought up, or tell the
there's a company that does, it's called myfruittruck.com. So they'll go and source fruit that's in season, load it into semis, and then drive it up to those of us that can't get it right away. So fresh strawberries from Florida, now that they're coming in season, they were like literally trucking them up to Minnesota, Nebraska, Wisconsin, all over
But
the
it was
Midwest.
2 big boxes. How much?
It was 9 pounds for $30. So I worked those and preserved those and set those all aside to have.
So we'll have some stuff for next year and for summer. But it's
Yeah.
like, it's coming. They're not going to come again. Grab it. So we grabbed it. So it's part of I consider it part of the budget, but even though it
We're
isn't,
getting
it
ready
isn't.
for
It's a
next
hard
year,
thing.
but
So
yeah.
So we're good. We're good with that. Otherwise, milk, chili beans, carrots, and sour cream
Yeah.
is what we had. I thought the variety was good. I love having eggs, and I'll have eggs and toast for
Mhm.
breakfast. I could do it 365 days. Not drinking Pepsi. We did get milk. Now I'm out of milk for the next 2 days. Having
Yep.
orange juice every day. That was hard. I'm down 5 pounds, so I'm fine with that. But God, I'd like my Pepsi back. So we'll do that. I'll lead off what didn't work. We had saved zucchini, like some of you mentioned zucchini, and how I was going to make zucchini bread. What was the missing ingredient?
Yogurt.
So without yogurt in it, it was pretty dry and flat, and
Yeah.
it got pitched. So that was a miss. So we need to plan that. And just dairy. We need to find
Cheese and milk and
Yeah. I miss cheese. We need to have a source. Heather and Levi, you guys have the goat, so you've got, you're able to have that. I really miss milk and dairy. So I don't know. Why don't we go around the same way? You know, what were the fails for the month? You know, what did not work?
Did you think of something that didn't work?
You're buying a bottle baby goat.
There, he said the same thing I was gonna say. Is our bottle baby goat Farrell is drinking our milk, so we don't have a whole lot of it. We're having to really. I'm probably able to put away about 2 to 3 cups a day for us. The rest of it, Farrell is drinking, and so being a family of 6, it's really not a lot. So we haven't purchased milk, but we have purchased cheese and yogurt, and I did do a bottle of kefir one week. I'm trying to remember. I think that was it, but that's not. Oh, butter. That was it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if it was, $50 June, we could have done a lot better. But it wasn't. It was February, and usually not many people have animals in milk anyway. In February, we do. We just have to feed our bottle baby.
It was funny watching. You got a great deal on your cheese. It was like, okay, now if I could get that amount for that price, that's where I was really scouring, looking for a grocer like you've got, because I thought, oh, I'm in. I want my cheese. There's nothing around. There's really nothing. I think north of Minneapolis, like it'd be a 2-hour drive. It's like, I'm not doing it.
That could be worth it. There's people that drive to our discount grocer, and they go about once a month, and they load up for stuff for their freezers and then head home. So it could be 2 hours I would do, but that's because everything normal is about 1 hour from us. So it's like, oh, it's just a little bit further. I would do 2 hours.
We're about a half an hour from civilization here, whether we go north or south, but 2 hours, I'll go without cheese versus a 4-hour long trip, versus 2 hours up and 2 hours back. That's not worth it. So, yeah, here's the comment. It would be much easier in July. So,
yep.
And maybe I don't know. I'm looking at, ideas for next year, and we can share those at the end. Jennifer, what did you have that was a failure? Was there anything?
Well, I had a little bit easier, I think, because I kind of cheated a little bit with my pantry. But I will say one thing that was challenging is that we don't raise any meat. And so most of my $50 went towards meat.
Yep.
And the one other thing that I forgot to budget in was today we, at church, we had a church meal, and I was supposed to bring a soup for that. So I had gotten like a cauliflower, and I was planning to make a roasted cauliflower soup for my family, but I forgot I needed to bring enough for the church meal too. So because of that, I went out and bought extra, and I went over budget because of that. So I ended up having to buy a second cauliflower, and yeah.
There's always going to be those, and I should have been upfront. You know what? Today for lunch, we went out to eat. It was my daughter's birthday. Stuff like that comes up. You know what? It's my daughter's birthday. I'm not considering that in the challenge, but I'm not going to not celebrate my daughter's birthday. By the way, Molly, happy birthday if you're watching. So those things, I mean, if you got a birthday or something, I consider that. I don't know. Maybe Glenn and Annette might be going, oh, no, I don't know. Again, another different flavor. So, Katie, what any fails out on your side?
No major failure, I don't think. I think one thing I kind of had as an option is, since we sold the eggs, I kind of saved up that money throughout the year and thought, okay, if I need to use it, because going into this, I thought $50, I don't know how we're going to possibly do this. Typically, we eat out way too much for $50 to work, for sure. So we had to really severely cut back on that. So if anything, I would say that was probably the hardest thing for us, is we're just so used to eating out more frequently. Other than that, I think we did pretty good. A couple of the recipes were for sure failures, or at least for Gary, but we just did our best and made it work. It actually ended up pretty good. And I think I got more creative. Like Jennifer did, I definitely used some of the things out of our pantry. A lot of it, well, I shouldn't say a lot. Some of it I had canned myself and made throughout the year, but I definitely used, we used some canned chicken that I had in there for a long time, and I used some meat out of the freezer. We don't raise our own meat, so I kind of was like, well, that's kind of okay. We sell all the eggs, so if I exchanged that amount for the amount of meat, we were probably fine. We did have to suffer through a lot of eggs, more me than Gary. He enjoys eating the eggs. And then we had turkey meatballs that I got a few months ago. They've been in the freezer, but they were on sale, super, super cheap. And it's not something we typically eat, but I got it with this challenge in mind and thought, okay, that's kind of the price range. They were on clearance. And we didn't love them, but we ate them because, like Jennifer, we don't raise our own meat. So I was like, all right, we have to try to use what we can and make it work for the month. So the challenge is really good for us, though, because we typically spend so much on groceries. And like our pantry's full of stuff. Our freezers are completely full. And during like spring, summer, we're eating out of the garden for the most part.
Yep.
So this challenge was like really good timing wise because it allowed us to like kind of plan for the year. And what we really missed was a lot of like the fresh vegetables that we're typically getting at the grocery store throughout this time. So we were able to get some of it out of our green stock. I think we have the luxury in California, it's freezing, but some of the plants, like if you keep them kind of under the porch, they don't completely die off. So we had some kale and some lettuce. Lettuce didn't last all through February because, well, it's nothing compared to what you guys have, Rich and Holly, but we've had a cold couple of weeks here. So that killed off some of our greens.
Yep. Couple of you, Jennifer and Katie, you said you don't raise meat. We don't raise meat. I mean, we've got chickens, but we don't raise meat yet. And that taught us, I think early on, there was a talk back last April, Bland's Promised Land Ranch talked about partnering, and we didn't, I'd never done meat chickens before. So we partnered with Matt and Sarah, they've got a channel as well. They're probably 10 miles from us, and they raised them, showed us all that. We helped them butcher them, all that. And we ended up with 20 birds. So you don't have to raise your own. If you could find someone near you, maybe there's people that comment on your channel that, have that capability, and you can partner with them, win-win. We've got 20, and we talked about that today. We had 20 chickens thinking, okay, that's gonna get us through the month. We're gonna be chicken heavy. You know what? We didn't.
We did.
How many did we use?
5 or 6.
And so now it's like, okay, that's going to take us March, and we didn't need to save up all 20 of them, or we probably had 18.
But at the time too, we didn't figure on being able to source the beef in the pork.
Yep.
So we didn't know that that's what we were going to have, but it worked out great.
And so we're looking at doing meat chickens again in the spring, and try to get the capability and try to set ourselves up for next year. But I don't know if that's an option if you've got people near you that do meat birds.
I'd love to do that, like for sure, especially if somebody raised beef, like or even get some dairy and kind of trade it for the vegetables or eggs. Yep. Typically out here, I think anybody who's going to have beef or a dairy cow is also going to have some chickens. So maybe we could trade for the vegetables.
You never know.
That would be
you never know. That's what we got, an eighth of a cow, that way. We took egg money and got the half a pig, but the beef was a trade, and you got to find the right people, I think, for something like that. It's not everybody's probably willing to do that. So if you had to transport yourself back to last April, and you're just learning about this, what would you do different? Is there something that that you'd go? And I'll start. The thing that I thought we did good was we took some of our spicy peppers, dehydrated them, ground them up. That added a lot of flavor into some of our dishes. But we need all sorts of herbs.
Yep.
So
yep, like the rosemary, sage, thyme, oregano, that kind of stuff. I tried growing some herbs this last year, but we didn't take care of them very well. And so we really noticed it this year. So that's going to be one of the things we're really adding to our garden, is a good spot to grow herbs.
We're going to have an herb garden. So I just think adding that flavor component will make those dishes during another challenge so much better. So I don't know, Heather, Levi, what would you change or prepare differently?
I probably would have just made a lot more beef jerky.
Yeah,
If I thought about it, because the kids really like to have that as a protein with their lunch. And we've been talking about taking some of the excess ground beef that we have, or ground venison, and I have a jerky gun. We've been talking about doing it, but it hasn't happened yet. So I would have intended to put more away.
Do you make jerky out of the venison?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
You can make it out of any ground meat. There's like a little, it's almost like a caulking gun, and it like pipes out these tubes on the dehydrator, and you can dehydrate ground turkey, ground anything that way,
Okay.
as long as it's relatively lean.
Okay.
Yeah, I never had heard that. Any other little things that you do different, or?
Yeah, so we have a ton of tomatoes, like a ton, in every type of variety. I swore that I dehydrated some green peppers, and I can't find them. And my poor son, he doesn't like tomatoes, but he loves green peppers, and I can't find those dehydrated green peppers. So either I dreamed it or something, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to dehydrate green peppers for him to have over the winter, because they'll just eat dehydrated cherry tomatoes. The other three will with their lunches, and he won't touch them. So I need to get better at dehydrating more variety so that the kids have more variety.
Have you done that before? Dehydrated green peppers?
They get really paper thin.
Okay, because I did I dehydrated jalapenos before, and it was real leathery, real, I don't know. It wasn't the best thing. Where habaneros and some others, they've been awesome.
Now jalapenos are very they hold up. They have a lot of like fibery in them. I could see that those would be chewy. Something really thick walled would be with like that white, I don't know what they call it. There's like a white part in there. I don't know if I would dehydrate that, but like the juicy, watery part, the watery wall, that crisps up really well.
Okay.
Yeah,
what I can remember. Now I might have dreamed it, but I can't find them. I'll find them when I don't need them.
There you go. 19 rounds of jerky a year. It's still not enough.
Still not enough.
I believe it.
Yeah, we could eat it all the time. Like if we had more jerky put away, we would have to buy less sandwich meat and things for sure.
And we had dehydrated watermelon and our black cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
I have gone
That
through a
was
whole
his.
jar. I'm on my second jar of those as just a snack. So if you've got extra, it's not
We need
the
to do
same
the
as
watermelon
fresh-
thing.
as fresh cherry tomatoes, but it sure was good. Just to
Yeah,
have
they're really
something, a sugar fix,
Mhm.
My Pepsi's not there, so I grabbed some cherry tomatoes, and that might be why I'm down 5 pounds. So doing that, I don't know. Jennifer, what you had to go back. What would you do?
I probably plant more vegetables that store a long time. Like I kind of grew sweet potatoes on a whim this past year, so I just put a couple plants in, and they actually did surprisingly well. So if I went back, I would have planted more of those. And then other things like potatoes, I would have done more of those. Butternut squash, I kind of decided to do last minute, and it was late in the season when I put it in, and because of that, the plants got mildew and didn't really produce. And my chickens stole the two that did actually form. So I think if I started earlier in the season, I would have actually gotten some squash from those. So I think just growing more storage vegetables would have been good.
And some of ours, like Annette and Glenn were saying, that some of them are coming up on the end of, we've got a nice cool basement. It's dry. There's still a few of the squash that are going bad. So, but they've gone in the worm bin, and the worms are digging those. But
Or the chickens get them.
yeah, there's a use for them, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But
there's
it's
still-
got a shelf life, and we're coming up on the end of it, at least here for some of it. Katie, anything you'd do if you went back?
I'd probably do more tomatoes. So we want to plant more tomatoes this year. We planted a bunch last year, but they just didn't produce so well. We were overwhelmed with peppers. But what we ended up eating a lot of, because I've got a ton of spaghetti squash, butternut squash, pumpkin, like we've got a lot of that, and it's still good. It's not going bad or anything. So in fact, I didn't use nearly what I thought I would. There's still a bunch on the counter. But we would definitely use more tomatoes. I think one of our favorite meals was just the spiralized zucchini that I froze, and then the tomato sauce that we canned. And that ended up being kind of our favorite meal. We had it many times in February. So that ended up being really good. So we'll definitely try to do more tomatoes and like make more sauces. I've canned tomato sauce, but I don't typically do a variety. Like I don't make salsa and stewed tomatoes and things like that. So I think I'll try that this year. So we just have a variety of canned tomato items that we can use.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've still got sitting in my basement is spaghetti sauce that I made out of cherry tomatoes.
Okay.
So even the little cherry tomatoes, I mean, it's a seedy sauce, but it is so sweet and so good.
Yeah, I don't mind the seeds. Like I often throw the cherry tomatoes in there just because I have a lot of those. But we
Okay.
really like it. It's pretty good.
It's more me. I'm not a seedy sauce guy.
Okay.
And that's why she was saying that. I'd
Yeah.
rather have the, what was it, San Marzano and
The less seedy, the more traditional sauce.
Okay. Yeah, we have a mix.
but you made sauces, diced tomatoes. Then you can just kind of, as a building block, go from there. I think, it's the flavor changes. I think Glenn or Annette, they want to ferment hot peppers for hot sauce this year. We tried that for the first time, jams and making our own hot sauce. We had yellow pear tomatoes that really, they look good on a salad. I'm a tomato guy. I'll pop cherry tomatoes. They didn't taste very well.
They just weren't as sweet as what he's used to.
Yeah.
But they were a great base for hot sauce. We used that and habaneros.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So, Holly got the official little bottles with the plastic top thing, and we're giving them to friend, the foil thing that fits around it, and we're giving them as gifts. But that hot sauce is awesome as a base.
Yeah.
So I think some of those ideas.
I did try doing fermenting just the straight cayenne peppers that were a surprise for us. And that just about threw you through the roof when you tried it.
There's some heat to it, no doubt about it.
It just needs to be cut by some kind of tomato sauce.
So, maybe one of the last questions here, just for next year, and some of you touched on it, if we do something similar, I need to add to the garden. We need more potatoes. I have never grown sweet potatoes, but I think that would be a good challenge for us for something new this year. Continue to add variety to what we can preserve or keep fresh, and maybe even bring in some plants. People keep peppers and such all year round. Maybe throw some of them in pots and be able to bring them in. So we've got fresh peppers. It's such a challenge in Minnesota to keep things going longer because our season ends about could end October 1st. So keeping things alive from October all the way, indoors.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. I don't know, Heather, Levi, what, if we do it again, what are you changing or doing?
Well, I just want to tell you that if you do keep peppers indoors, you want to make sure they're dormant. You don't really necessarily have to baby them like you would in the summer and keep them alive and have them fruiting. You want them to be kind of away from light and keep them in that dormancy. So it might be doable in your basement.
Yeah. I was thinking also, could I keep one alive and fruiting?
Yeah. You could. I don't know if it would. Like, you'd have to fertilize it, especially in a pot. You'd have to fertilize it a lot. We've done it. We've done it in pots. I didn't realize that I was supposed to keep it dormant, but I was getting peppers in like January, our first year that we did it. It was fun.
I've got a couple
one plant
that are producing.
You have
that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, we'll do more jerky. I think we're gonna hop into getting more jerky because one of our issues is we have a lot of ground meat. We do grow a lot of our own meat here, and there's a lot of ground. And sometimes it's hard to get creative with that ground meat. So I think pretty soon here, we're going to be putting more ground jerky away. And in the garden this year, this is my year of variety. So we're going all out with lots of different varieties of lots of different things. And
Okay.
I'm really excited for that. This last year, I grew a ton of tomatoes and a ton of green peppers. And that was basically it. There were little odds and ends, melons and things. But I really missed the variety, the really pretty harvest basket, and then the really pretty canned up vegetables and things. I missed that. We've done that in years past, and so we're going back to that.
Gwen, the question, how many pounds of tomatoes did we lose to the frost? A lot. A
Yeah.
lot. So I don't know, a lot. Yeah, variety. And you've got the spots for it, though. You've got so much open space and that greenhouse, and that'll be fun. That'll be good video.
Thanks.
To what? It will be. And that's a lot of the fun of seeing all the channels and everybody growing. You guys can make mistakes and I can learn from them. I can screw up and you guys, see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Just tying on, someone had mentioned in the comments, hunting, fishing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not a hunter, not currently a hunter, but yeah, Levi, you've done great. So Jennifer, I don't know, or Katie, if your hubbies hunt, maybe I'm being sexist there by saying that, but if you hunt and or family members hunt, that'd be a great way to really add pounds of food. But Jennifer, any thoughts on doing it next year?
So I think I would try to preserve more of my fresh produce. Like I cut up and froze some peppers, which was helpful, but it wasn't really enough. So I think I would make a point to do more of that. And then also we did microgreens this year, which really helped a lot. I think that was one of the best things we did for just getting that like fresh vegetable fix. But I think I would do more of that next year. Like try to grow probably twice as much as we did this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just being more conscious of preserving more of my food would be a big thing.
Yeah, we need some quantity. The one we ran out of carrots.
Yep.
We had thrown away a bunch. There are carrots that are out in one of our raised beds. I'm sure they're mush right now.
We just
it's like-
couldn't get to them before.
The first storm came.
Yeah.
So it's like, we got to do more rounds of carrots and put it away because they were fantastic with roasts and
Yep.
such. So, Heather, didn't you do microgreens? Remember you do microgreens?
I do sprouts in a jar, but I currently am doing my second experiment with microgreens. I have not shown it at all on camera yet, but I have microgreens on a bamboo paper towel under a light right now. They're doing really well.
Good. Yeah, those things,
Yeah.
I've never done those greens. So as you guys do it, share that, share the good and the bad, because Holly talked about that. And I don't even know start with basic, what seeds do you buy? Where do you get them? I'd love to see beginner stuff because I think that'd be something we could add to another layer to our onion there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a microgreens company that sells seed out of Canada that we shop through.
Okay.
And they sell microgreen seed as well as sprouting seed. So I'll link that later. I'll email you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to. I think that'd be a great idea for videos, gang. Just you that have done it. I don't know what to do, and I might be typical of viewers out there. Some of you have done it, some of you haven't. Hi, Glenda. Welcome aboard. Hopefully, I'm keeping up on the chat here. I'm trying to talk, hear everybody, and keep on the chat. And my ADHD is going nuts here. So, Katie, what would you do?
I preserve a lot more food. So I've got a pressure canner. There's no reason not to. I guess I just didn't prepare as well as I could have. And then just what we saved. So I think, Rich, you mentioned earlier, you and Holly had like 20 chickens. You kind of saved it for February. I did something similar. Like everything that I preserved from the garden, it's like, no, we can't eat that. That's for February. And save it. But we didn't go through nearly as much as I thought we would. So we have just a ton of winter squash. And usually I do that every year anyways, because I give it back to the chickens as a treat through winter so that they have something. but we've got a bunch of stuff in the freezer. I didn't nearly go through what I thought I would. And then we ran out of some things that we really liked. So the zucchini noodles, I'll do a lot more of that. That ended up being really, really good. And I didn't have so much of that put away because I actually didn't think that would be such a hit. So things like that. And then just what we really missed were all the fresh vegetables. Gary missed fresh fruits. He's like, can't we get blueberry? Can't we go get something? And I miss just, being able to have a salad, right? Like with the green stock, we had a little bit of the greens, but not the ones that we love right now. We're a little bit more sensitive to the temperature. So if we could try to find a way, like Jennifer had all the sprouts, like if we could try something like that, I think that would really help mix it up. And then maybe just use our $50 for grocery store tomatoes or something like that to go with it. Because we won't be able to have tomatoes. I can keep peppers. So this year we kept the peppers in the greenhouse. And I'm not sure they're really forming new peppers, but they're still red peppers on our Anaheim pepper. And I'm picking them. They're fine.
That's
So
cool.
that's doing okay. So maybe more of that. Maybe we could put a couple more plants in the greenhouse, just pull them in, put them in pots. I didn't intentionally do that. I was just lazy and didn't pick them all, and they're still fine.
Accidental excellence.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you spiralize and then freeze?
I did.
Okay.
So we just have like the little manual spiralizer. So I did that, but I think I did like 10 or 12 packages of the zucchini, and I had a bunch of it sliced because we'll still take it out of the freezer, microwave it, put some Parmesan cheese or salt and pepper on it. It's kind of mushy, but it's still good. Like we'll still eat it. But the spiralized noodles with the pasta sauce on it that we canned were really good. And then I don't know. So Rich, you said you tried to dehydrate jalapenos. When I've done it, I put it in the Ninja and like chop them up real small, then dehydrate them. So I've never tried to eat, like slices of them after they've been dehydrated, but that works really well. And we use that like as a spice, like almost like kind of like spice to make taco seasoning or something like that with our burger or hamburger meat. And that works really good. So I don't know if you've tried it that way, but we love it.
Yeah. We made a jar of powder of what did we have? Jalapenos, then one of habanero.
And the jalapenos.
Yep. And so we've got different levels and cayenne. We can add all sorts of flavor there. I was just thinking about when you were talking about spiralize, what can we freeze and put away? I did save too much of some things like fresh squash. We had a big end of the season kind of, hey, everybody on our Facebook page, the farm is done. Do you need squash? Come and get some. Well, before that, I kind of squirreled away some downstairs for us, thinking, okay, February, we're going to use all this. I've got like 15 spaghetti squash down there that, someone else could have used. And they're probably still great. So I could probably, say, hey, anybody need one? Come on over. I squirreled away a little bit too much of the fresh stuff when I could have, I guess, shared it with others more than that.
Well, and it doesn't help that I'm not a big fan of it, so I don't tend to cook with it.
She doesn't go down and grab it. And just the carrots, some people were saying they lost, or Gwen lost carrots, and that's kind of the fun of this. The reality of, does this challenge work, really came in when we had the blizzard. We couldn't get out for 2 days because our road was impassable till the plow came by. So it's like, what, to be going through this and really not be able to go to the store for something.
Yeah.
That worked out well. So I guess we got 20 minutes left. Just looking at next year, if you were, we all have had different flavors for this. How would you structure a challenge, or maybe different pieces of a challenge for people? I think about, I'm going to sit down with Annette and Glenn and kind of noodle some ideas together, because I think this challenge would be fun to adapt for next year. But Heather brought up, the money side of it. You know what? We do have cash flow from the eggs. So if we use that for something, if you're selling garden produce and you can turn that into something else for the challenge. So it's not a strict $50. I'm trying to figure out how to say it the right way, but to adapt the challenge to include something like that. Maybe there's the straight hardcore challenge, and then there's the other. I don't know if you guys have ideas.
The rest of us.
Yeah. No. I just like I'd like to hear your ideas on adapting the challenge next year, or having different layers of a challenge.
Well, I can't remember what their names were. The last live that you did, they had mentioned, well, you have to make sure that you're actually in the green with what you're selling before you count it as profit. I agree with that. I don't, month by month, I don't like set aside, okay, my goats cost exactly this much, and so I only have this much profit. So that is kind of hard. I just know throughout the course of the year, when you do your taxes or whatever, this is what I sold and this is what I paid. And I can see it there. And so possibly going into next year, you could see that what you did this year prior, and be able to use that there. If it, in theory, it would have already been used for us. Like we just, whenever cash comes in, we spend it at the grocery store. So it's kind of almost theoretical, but not like it's real. But it's like I might have to scroll it away specifically for February next year. Otherwise, I do just have it in the normal budget, because this is relatively normal for us. It's just our budget was a lot lower. So we had to get a little bit creative and spend a lot less on like sour gummy worms and stuff. Like we go out to eat relatively often too, because whenever we go anywhere, it is kind of far. And so usually we're like overlapping over like lunch or something. And so that was a little bit challenging to plan for lunches and things, where normally I would have just swung into like Chick-fil-A or whatever.
We'll Friday night, the week's done. Friday night's date night. The two of us are going out somewhere. And so we cut date night for the month. So that was the hard thing. I do like, the comment about profit. Our egg business is so small, it's containable. So I can really look at, I know what money is going to feed each week. And we literally, okay, this is what we spend on feed, put that on the Amex and pay that off. Then we do have a little bit of profit. So I can really watch the chickens. It's how much do we spend on seeds? How much do we spend, sell for the CSA and all that? It's a harder thing to look for profit on some of those long-term things. So I like that comment though. Jennifer, any ideas on, I don't know if we need to have different levels of the challenge.
Yeah, well, I was definitely in one of the easier levels of the challenge. I
don't think any of the levels are easy though. I think everybody would. I don't think any of them are easy. I think everybody was really challenged though.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like we already talked about, had to be a lot more creative with how I cooked things, because we did a lot of, like, pretty much I just did chicken and ground beef, and so I had to cook them in a lot of different ways so that it wasn't boring, and eggs, of course. I'll have to think about that, ideas for next year.
Yeah, if people do have ideas, whether you're watching or on the panel, I'd love to hear them. I mean, we're not going to maybe put out the challenge. I think last year we did in April, so we've got time to think about it. But I want it to be challenging, but I want it to still be attainable and something that is a good exercise to go through. Katie, any ideas on Mach 2?
I don't know about ideas for changing it. I think it was really helpful, even if everyone did it kind of their own way. Like I know Jennifer said, you use a lot more pantry staples, or you make a lot of sourdough bread, but I saw all the variety you had, and that really helped me think, oh, what could I do differently for next year? How could I plan? What could I plant? So even though we all did it in a little bit of a different way, I think it's beneficial. And for me, Gary and I used it as like, if we really had to live like this, what would we want to have? Like, what would we want to have out in our garden? What would we want to preserve just in case? I mean, we have a huge pantry full of stuff that we almost never use. So it's kind of handy to just do this challenge and really kind of challenge yourself to be like, what would it be like to live like this, or just have to eat what you produce? And it would be pretty tough if we had to do it long term. So it definitely helps us think about how we could be better prepared. So I liked it. I mean, originally when we, like I said, when we agreed, yeah, to participate, I thought $50. I have no idea how we're going to possibly do that.
Yep.
But throughout the year, I did tiny little things like, oh, this butter is going to go bad. I'm going to throw it in the freezer. I'm going to save it for February. And if I wouldn't have done that, like generally, I probably wouldn't have done that in the past. I would have said, oh, let me clean out the fridge, get this out of here.
Yep.
So just being aware of it throughout the year was really helpful for me. I don't know that we necessarily have any ideas on how to change it per se. I think the one thing that would be pretty cool, I don't know how feasible it is so many channels or just people, even if they don't have a channel, that are participating. If people were close to each other and could share, like, we're good. I mean, I can grow peppers for everybody, right? I can produce peppers and winter squash for many, many, many families. So if we could somehow like get people together, it's like, oh, what do you guys have? Oh, you have flour or whatever it is, some kind of grain, and just kind of trade what we're all good at. That'd be pretty cool. Or like eggs. You guys were talking about profit on eggs. Like, I know what my profit is. It's definitely not, it's not profitable for me. But I'd be happy to share eggs with people that wanted them if they needed them to do the challenge. So things like that, I think that would be pretty neat. I don't know how we'd really do it since everybody's in such different locations, but maybe there's a few people close enough to each other to make something like that work.
Yeah, they're saying, different situations, but it's still the same situation. And if you can find people who have channels or some of your viewers in your area, we met some great people. Matt and Sarah have been great. They're 10 miles down the road, and they were one of the first people. I knew they were in the challenge. So when our peppers exploded, I'm like, do you guys need any peppers? Well, theirs also exploded. So no, they didn't. But trying to do that, and Lori and Steve are about an hour away, and well, she ferments carrots, and oh my God, they're out of this world. So now we're already talking for next year, well, I've got this, I'll do this. Or, we've got space where they don't. Their garden can't be big enough because they're in the city. So what can I grow to help them? And she's got the fermented carrots. If I grow the carrots, you take them and ferment them, and
you can them and we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll work out something. So if you can find people in your area willing to team up, that's a huge part of this. And it's one of those, I had some comments from people who they're like, well, don't use our comments because we're more the prepper, and sometimes some people take a bad connotation from that. I don't, but they're like, we're more preppers. And I'm thinking, you know what? If stuff hit the fan, we came out to the farm and I want to be more self-sufficient. Not that I'm a doomsday, whatever, but I want to be more self-sufficient and cover our food more. So this challenge played right into it and was a good test after 3 years of growing. How big was our garden? How much could we produce? I think we did pretty darn good, but it showed some of the weaknesses too. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to some sort of challenge like this next year, and seeing what we can do. It made me think every month. I don't know if you guys thought of that every month. What am I doing to feed into the no? Heather's saying no. You waited till October and then did oh heck, here we go.
Yeah.
No, I just didn't remember. I didn't realize what the challenge exactly was. I just knew that I had stuff from 2020 and 2021 that needed using, and that was my plan. So I didn't think about it in 2022 really.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking every month, I couldn't wait to get that update done because we had the meat chickens. I was like, yes, okay, we've got a building block now for February, and then add the next one on. And when those 2 rabbits were out chewing on the corner of my garden and I got the 22 out, I was like, all right, another piece, it's all stuff presented itself. Jennifer, you were talking about, this could be years off, but we're looking to finally get our orchard in this year. So that won't help me next year, but maybe 2 or 3 years down to have more fruit. We were lucky. I will say we've got applesauce, we've got stuff, and we didn't even tap into that.
No, we didn't.
Our neighbor drove by, and I didn't realize he had a big couple of apple trees. He drove by last fall. hey, do you guys want apples? Yes. Now we know where we can get apples in the meantime, and we'll bring him some eggs and stuff and do that. I don't know. We got about 10 minutes. Any other things I didn't think to ask or comments on the challenge?
One thing I'll share. I don't know, Holly, if this will work for you. If you don't like all winter squash or if it's just spaghetti squash, do you like butternut squash?
No,
No?
I can eat like this much.
Well, we make it with, it's best with delicata, but I use butternut squash because it lasts longer. We cut it like really, really thin and put it in the oven and crisp it up. And I put like seasoned salt on it, kind of like French fry seasoned salt.
Okay.
It's really good.
Okay.
So maybe worth a try if you want to try it like that.
I will take butternut squash and turn it into like pumpkin cheesecakes or pies or something,
Yes.
and use that instead of pumpkin.
Okay.
And that's really good.
It's really good. I will attest to that.
Okay. I've never had it. I never had it like that. We're trying to not eat so many carbs. So I'm trying to find creative ways to use the food and make it like into something we actually want. And I think the seasoned salt on it really makes it pretty good. So that's been one of the things we've also eaten quite a bit of.
Because it's all in the seasonings for the, like I said, the cheesecakes and stuff like that. It's all in the what spices and everything you throw in there that changes it.
You two swap recipes on that. Her cheesecake is out of this world, gang. And then she'll make a whipped cream with bourbon in it, and it's over the top. So, someone said I got to make Pepsi. You know what? I do have a little kit for making homemade root beer or sarsaparilla, whatever. I should have made some. I don't know what's even involved, but.
February's not over yet.
Yeah. Do that. Well, we got anything else that I might have missed or comments, ideas?
Yeah.
Well, just along the Pepsi line, my husband actually makes homemade root beer. So I'll have to see. Maybe I can talk him into doing a video of that at some point. But it's really good.
Yeah.
Beer and birch beer.
I love homemade root beer. There was a gal who made it, an older gal, and then she'd bottle it and sell it in a park, and it was fantastic. So I'd love to try that. All the video ideas you've got tonight. So I expect microgreens and root beer from you, Jennifer, and the microgreen review from Heather and Levi, and then jerky. I want to see all that.
We have plans for both of them. I just want to know that it works, the microgreens, the way that I'm doing it before I say anything about it.
Yep.
But the jerky we're going to do, it's on my plan.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. And then how we could get creative and do something like that too. I think that'd be good for snacks. That was part of it. The tomatoes really played in was the snack side. I do find that I'm a snacker during the day, or you just get a little something, and just to get me to dinner, those tomatoes helped out. Where normally I'd go grab a Pepsi or something. So need the healthy side. Well, maybe we'll cut out here. Thank you all for being on the panel. Glenn and Annette, sorry you had internet issues. It would have been fun to hear more of your ideas. I'm hoping everybody will do kind of a, make some notes over the next couple of days, and then do a kind of a final video on how you did, what you learned, what
ours
worked.
is in progress. Yep,
Okay,
we're
good.
doing it.
Yeah, I usually think through and make notes, and then I kind of wing it. You know my videos.
I know.
So,
You're good at winging videos. I'm not.
I'm not good at editing, so I'm a technical person. I'm just not good at editing. So it's like, just shoot the whole darn video and be done, versus, and if you make mistakes, then just start over. So, but thank you all for being on the panel tonight. I appreciate all your opinions and ideas and all this back and forth. So, and I think we're 5 minutes early, but everybody's got 5 minutes extra. So we'll sign off here. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.